Part 75. Heaven Swallowing Record. Author, Fengqing Yang. Chapter 751. Wu Yu still doesn't know how wide this prison of Ghost Sea is. However, he now knew how deep it was. From the beginning, he moved diagonally downward. Although it was not very fast, it took him half a day to finally reach the bottom of the sea. In the vast waters, it is difficult to find a hiding place, but at the bottom of the Ghost Sea prison, there are a large number of deep trenches, undersea forests, and mountains and deep valleys just like the outside, so there are many hiding places. Therefore, most monsters are in this deep seabed. Theoretically, the further down you go, the higher the chance of encountering monsters. Because of this, Wu Yu reached the bottom of the sea at this time. There is deep black mud in this location, and it is very easy to hide many demons. After Wu Yu arrived here, he began to search with piercing eyes. In fact, most people were in a state of search. The demons were hidden very deep, and this was just the beginning. It's not easy to find the monster. Most of the time, the devil has to come to find him. However, I heard that as the time approaches half a year later, the demon will go crazy and often appear to attack. Actually, the weaker the combatants or the weaker the demons, the easier it is to encounter opponents. With my level, as long as I pass by, the demons will notice me, and the stronger demons and ascetics, their opponents, they all ran away. Therefore, Wu Yu felt that his chances of encountering demons should be higher than others, and he also had a sharp eye. It is said that some powerful monsters may have several copies of the Death Soul net in their bodies. This is also possible, and it is also a rule that has been changed recently. The previous rule was that all monsters had only one copy of the Dead Soul net. But now, we will give more Death Soul nets to powerful demons as appropriate. Otherwise, no one will be interested in powerful demons. In fact, it seems that Wu Yu is still in the Purple Mansion Kanghai realm. His level has never appeared in the Yinhuan Sea prison. Even if you have piercing eyes, the range you can actually see is not very far. After all, the deep sea is too dark. The underground plants, gravel, swamps, and cliffs are all pitch black. He had nothing to be afraid of. Others were afraid of attracting powerful monsters, but Wu Yu was not afraid at all, so he directly used the infinite 10,000 dragon sticks in the world and increased it to dozens of feet in length, like an Optimus Prime. Holding the huge one-long stick with both hands, he inserted it directly into the mud and started rolling. "Where's the monster? Come out quickly, there are thousands of people here who are paying attention, and there are many high-profile ones. Even if he is causing trouble now, no one is actually paying attention to him." However, such a big movement would definitely make the demons within a certain radius notice him. It is said that there are still many demons in this Hell Sea prison. The reason why it is difficult to find them is because they are hiding. They have spent 10 years here to find a way to hide. How could they do this after such a long time of preparation? Found easily. However, when he saw Wu Yu, who had passed by in a high-profile manner, he was actually holding a spiritual weapon. Moreover, it is still the Purple Mansion Kanghai realm, there will definitely be monsters, and the heart will start to flutter. Some monsters may only need 10 dark light breaking talisman. Wu Yu's seduction method was something that no one else could learn, and it worked wonders. He had just started, and he already felt the evil spirit. There was a big demon on the bottom of the sea, and it was already close to him. Looking up, in the dark sea, he could vaguely see the depths of the mud in front of him. Suddenly, a pale man emerged from the mud. This man was a demon in human form, hiding in the depths of the mud. He couldn't come out unless he came out. It's really hard to find him. In fact, demons are basically very large in shape. During the hiding process, they are basically in human form. This person's skin actually looks a bit like armor. It looks like a crustacean sea monster. There are many creatures in the sea, and quite a few of them have become monsters. At least, there are many more demons than there are in the Yanhuang ancient territory. Purple Mansion Kanghai Realm. Spiritual Taoist artifact. The demon seemed to have not spoken for decades, his voice was very hoarse, and his eyes were very cold. After finally seeing a demon, Wu Yu was not very anxious. He took the 10,000 dragon stick back into his hand and approached the demon while sizing up his opponent. After all, the other party is the kind of demon from the fierce sea of the dead and has been imprisoned here for many years. The cruel and evil aura on his body can be clearly felt even if the other party is suppressing him. If it weren't for the rules, they would naturally want to kill people like Wu Yu. Wu Yu didn't answer, and in a blink of an eye he was in front of the demon. "Are you ready to break the dark light talisman?" The other party looked at Wu Yu and said in a hoarse voice. This kind of sound sounded like a knife being scraped on the eardrum, which was particularly uncomfortable. "It depends on you, whether you have the ability to light it up." Wu Yu forgot that there was indeed a black net wrapped around his body. If there is a ghost entangled, it should be the net of dead souls. Ha! The demon smiled, and immediately took action at a very fast speed, running directly towards Wu Yu. At this time, he had not yet transformed into his true form. The opponent underestimated himself. Wu Yu slowly struck the opponent with a stick. It seemed slow, but just before the opponent arrived, it hit his head directly. The sudden force frightened the demon, and he quickly ran away, but was still hit by it. Wu Yu swept it with a stick. "It's strange, how did you hide your realm?" The other party's face became even paler, and he was obviously quite shocked. However, this did not scare him. At this time, he directly transformed into his true form. Boom! This calm seabed is surging. This chapter has not ended yet, please click on the next page to continue reading. What appeared in front of Wu Yu was a huge pale lobster. This pale lobster was so huge that one of its tentacles was like the Optimus Prime that Wu Yu had just transformed into. Its huge claws were even more of a huge weapon. In addition, its entire body was surrounded by heavy armor. Its pale shell looked like a Taoist weapon, and its defense ability was even stronger than that of a Taoist weapon. Dongyu was a coastal country. Wu Yu had seen many lobsters on the table, and had also seen very huge lobsters. However, when this lobster turned into a huge demon, it looked really terrifying, like the overlord and killing weapon of the deep sea. Fortunately, the realm of this demon was not high, and it was the lowest level here, so he did not have many breaking nether light talismans to obtain. "I am the Emperor Lobster. Be smart and light up the dark light talisman quickly. Don't force me to do it, or you'll be in trouble." After the other party changed into his original form, he still wanted to intimidate Wu Yu. Of course, this was useless to Wu Yu. At this moment, something happened that was beyond Wu Yu's expectation. That is, a third person suddenly appeared on their battlefield. The person obviously heard the noise and rushed here quickly. This was a young woman in a blue dress. Although it was a glimpse, her beautiful face could be seen. Her long aqua blue hair was very dazzling. Just one look at it and you could feel a deep chill. Of course, among the thousands of people who came into the haunted sea prison, there were more than 300 women. These 300 women were all the top and most distinguished young people in the Beiming Empire. They were all the proud daughters of heaven. More than 300 people, competing for beauty, were all great beauties who could overwhelm the country. However, this woman is also quite outstanding among the 300 people. She is a person at the top. Whether it is temperament, beauty, figure, strength, or realm, she is the best. Especially her figure, which is well proportioned, slender, and tall, is definitely a very big beauty. Wu Yu does not know her identity. It can only be seen that her realm is probably the 8th level of the Yuanshen realm, which is an existence that Wu Yu cannot deal with now, especially after the advantage of the physical body is gradually lost. The huge gap in the purple mansion Xuanhuan makes his battle across the 7th level more difficult. However, he knows the other party's purpose. The moment this woman appeared, she basically did not look at Wu Yu, but stared at the Emperor Lobster, and then directly attacked. Rob my opponent, Wu Yu was depressed. Of course, she has the right to rob, which is one of the highlights of the North Ming battle, and it will attract people's attention every time. Only those who finally kill the demon can get its dead soul yin net. The Emperor Lobster saw the opponent earlier than Wu Yu. After all, he was facing the woman. When he saw the opponent for the first time, he turned around and fled. Obviously, he knew that he was no match for the woman and could only flee quickly. However, it was obviously too late. Although he fled first, he was so close that he had exposed himself. It was obviously difficult to get rid of an opponent who was so much stronger than him. In a blink of an eye, the woman turned into a blue light and rushed in front of Wu Yu. Humph! Wu Yu never worried about losing to others in speed. Although he started a little slower, the combination of the magic walking technique and the shrinking of the law of heaven and earth allowed him to surpass the woman in an instant and appear on the top of the Emperor Lobster in an instant. Buzz! Wu Yu was not polite. As the law of heaven and earth changed, it could be clearly seen that he directly changed into a 10-foot giant, and the one long stick also became larger and longer, and heavier. The law of heaven and earth directly increased Wu Yu's strength by 3 times. Without using violent techniques, relying only on the power of the flesh and the purple palace energy, with a fierce stick, the upper spiritual weapon smashed directly on the demon's head. Bang! The heavy shell of the king lobster groaned, and the shell of the shrimp head was directly smashed, and the king lobster died on the spot. Wu Yu easily took away the dead soul net on its body and put it in the sumi bag. When he turned around and watched the body of the king lobster sink to the bottom of the sea, the woman had just caught up. Wu Yu's performance this time was too fast and too powerful, and the blue-haired woman didn't react at all. The two looked at each other here. Wu Yu smiled slightly, and said, "Sorry, you are too slow. This dead soul net, I will take it first." Originally, she wanted to snatch Wu Yu's opponent, but she didn't expect this situation to happen. The other party was really surprised. But Wu Yu's words now also angered her. Heaven Swallowing Record. Author, Fengqing Yang. Chapter 752. For the demons who were captured and ended up here, death in battle was probably their only fate. The chances of escaping here are indeed very small. Even if Wu Yu didn't kill him, others would. This is the rule of the Baiming Empire and the history of the battle between the Baiming Empire and the Sea of Necromancer. Wu Yu alone cannot change it for the time being. Cultivation is plundering, and only by being strong can one be chivalrous. The weak will eat the strong, and the strong will survive. This rule is the coldest law in this prison of the dead. In Baiming, this is the hunting ground of their Baiming tribe. Demons are prey. Of course, they also give the demons a chance to escape. "Who are you?" the woman opposite gasped in anger. Although she wanted to rob him, Wu Yu, an unknown person whom he didn't know, suddenly slapped her in the face, and there must be many people outside looking at her. It was embarrassing, and it was impossible for her not to be angry. Looking so angry is quite cute. After all, good-looking people are always cute. However, Wu Yu was still too lazy to pay attention to her. His goal was still to quickly obtain more dead soul nets, so at this time, he waved his hand and said, "If you can catch up with me, I will tell you." After saying that, he turned around and ran away, disappearing in an instant. He is not afraid of offending people either. After all, coming here is to compete. As long as there is competition, how can there be no disputes? Instead of being afraid of trouble everywhere, it is better to be more relaxed and offend everyone who deserves to be offended. Wu Yu didn't bother to know who the person behind him was or what her expression would be, So he continued directly to find the next demon. He didn't expect that grabbing the dead soul yin net this time would attract some attention from the outside. First of all, it is because there are not many people who have obtained the dead soul yin net, there are only a few dozen people in total. Secondly, the person competing with him is indeed of high status. This woman is the daughter of the city lord of a city in the northern Ming Empire called the Eastern Ice Flame City that is equal in size and importance to the far north Cold Fairy City. The city lord of Binjian City is stationed in the east, intimidating many countries in the Bian Bingzhou. In the eastern part of the Biming Empire, the daughter of the lord of Ice Flame City was a domineering lord. There, the sky was high and the emperor was far away. There were really not many people who dared to deal with her like this. There were dozens of people coming to Binjian City, and among them the city lord and some of his family members were also in very high positions. Naturally, the lord of Binjian City was paying attention to his daughter's performance from beginning to end. Wu Yu and this guy named he could clearly see all the fights between Lan Yu's women. In the end, Lan Yu was so angry that she lost her temper, but failed to catch up with Wu Yu. He could see clearly. The lord of Binjian City was naturally not very happy, and the expressions of those around him were also bad. He asked, "Does anyone know who this young man is? How can he be so arrogant and make my little girl so angry?" Not far away, there was a middle-aged man with a solemn expression, wearing a golden and black robe, with a beard, narrow eyes, and sitting upright. For this middle-aged man to be in this position, he is obviously at the top of the Biming Empire, and he is also quite powerful. Is also a well-known figure in the Three Disasters realm. He glanced at the Lord of Ice Flame City and said, "This person and I have some connections." "Brother Gong, do you know him?" the Lord of Binjian City with short blue hair asked. "This person is a person who is not angry but powerful. He sits in the eastern Binjian City and has never made any mistakes." And the brother Gong he was talking about was naturally one of the big shots in Mingdu, the Grand Master of the Punishment Department. The Grand Master of the Ministry of Punishment is in charge of the criminal law of Mingdu and even the whole country, and has great power. He smiled coldly and said, "Brother Lan must have heard of this person. He is a little famous. He is a native of the demon-sealed continent brought back by Princess Yuking. His name is Wu Yu." The Lord of Ice Flame City suddenly realized, it turns out to be him. No wonder he has such a miraculous performance. He heard not long ago that Gong Shenjun was defeated by this Wu Yu, so he paid a little attention to this person. This Wu Yu is still very famous in the Biming Empire. The most amazing thing is that it is said that his true realm has not yet reached the realm of Yuan Shen. He found Wu Yu's Yuan Yingyi and took a closer look. At this time, Wu Yu was concentrating on searching for the demon. Many people noticed him before, but at this time, someone else encountered a demon and was fighting, so no one soon paid attention to Wu Yu. The Lord of Binjian City suddenly remembered and asked doubtfully, "Is there something wrong? This person comes from Dongsheng Shenzhou. According to the rules of the Biming War, he is not a member of our Biming Empire, but he is prohibited from participating in the Biming War, even if he is not. The Biming tribe has a few fixed quotas that need to be competed for. Why is this Wu Yu not from our country, but a completely foreign race? How can he directly participate in the Biming War?" The group of people fighting abroad generally have straightforward personalities and hot tempers, so they have doubts in their hearts and speak louder, attracting the attention of many people. You must know that at this moment of watching the battle, most of the people below, still only dare to discuss in a low voice and dare not make a loud noise. Hearing this, the Grand Master of the Criminal Department smiled slightly and said, "I don't understand this matter a little bit. It is said that it was the decision of the commander of the Yuzhang Regiment. This person used a quota in the Hades Navy Regiment." Having said this, he glanced at Yu Shang with a smile on his face. At this time, many people looked at Yu Shang. Yu Shang is from the royal family. He holds the highest and most honorable position here. Next to him is the host of the Biming battle. Prince Yushang does not understand this yet. At this time, many people looked at them with doubts. Prince Netherphage frowned slightly and asked, "Brother, is this true? Is this person named Wu Yu a foreigner?" This chapter is not finished yet, please click on the next page to continue reading the exciting content. His main focus was on the undead prison, and he didn't pay much attention to the underworld city, let alone the quotas, because there had never been any problems, because everything was checked at all levels. Yu Shang had already expected that some people would have questions about this. He remained calm. When many people were paying attention to him, he said, "The Underworld Marine Corps has 33 places. As the commander of the Corps, my duty is to these places are fairly allocated to all the best young people in the Hades Marine Corps. Wu Yu meets the criteria, so I will naturally consider giving him a place." Prince Nether Devour's eyes were serious and he said, "But, this person is not from Biming. How can he occupy Biming's cultivation resources?" Yu Shang refused to give in and said, "First, I will only give the quota to the geniuses of the Ming Dynasty Marine Corps, no matter where they are from. Second, who said Wu Yu is not from my northern Ming Dynasty? He came to Yanhuang ancient territory, he came directly to the Biming Empire and joined the Underworld Marine Corps, so he is my Biming member. The rivalry between their brothers is full of spectacle for these 800,000 people, and it also slightly involves the Yanhuang ancient kingdom, so more and more people are paying attention to the situation here." Prince Yuzhang didn't expect that Yuzhang was still making excuses. Although what he said was very reasonable, it was just sophistry. He stood up and said, "Anyone who is not from Beiming and participates in the battle for hegemony is breaking the rules. No, I will capture this Wu Yu." Yu Shang also stood up. Since he had given Wu Yu a place, he would not give it up to other troubles at this time. He said directly, "No." The battle here was even more exciting than down below. In a moment, an estimated 700,000 people were looking up at the two brothers. "Yu Qi, don't be so rigid. It would be more interesting to have a descendant of our Yanhuang tribe. We can just see how our descendants of the Yanhuang tribe perform in the territory of your Biming tribe." Suddenly, the commander of the Flame Dragon Legion, Chu Yin, spoke. He comes from the ancient country of Yan and Huang, and is destined to have a different status. Yu Shang smiled and said, "Senior Chu is joking, Wu Yu is now from our Biming Empire. Of course, no matter who he is, he should come out in half a year." The ones that Wu Yu really wanted to capture were the Lord of Ice Flame City, the Grand Master of the Ministry of Punishment, and Netherphage. Among them, Netherphage was for the sake of rules. However, at this time, so many people were arguing that the matter had changed. After all, this was an important occasion. The Anzu who was above Yu Shang and the others suddenly said, "Since it has already begun, let him continue. He will not be able to affect the final result. In the battle for Beiming's hegemony, what really matters is the final top 10. Only with this ancestor speaking, Prince Netherbite could step down, and the matter calmed down. However, this time, many people saw Wu Yu, which attracted a lot of attention to him. At this moment, many people immediately paid attention to Wu Yu. Not long after that, Wu Yu encountered the demon again as soon as the voice of Pan Zia fell. Maybe it's because he looks too weak. However, the opponent Wu Yu encountered this time was not an easy one. This time, Wu Yu dived deeply into a deep trench. He lurked for a while and found nothing yet. But soon, he felt a fatal murderous intention. This murderous intention appeared suddenly, and it was very close to him, right in the mud beneath his feet. Suddenly, two huge red lanterns appeared below, which were very eye-catching. If you look closely, you will see that they are a pair of blood-red eyes. Before he could react, two more blood-red eyes appeared next to him, making a total of 4 eyes. Two demons. Just when Wu Yu thought there were two, the demon came out and attacked directly. Taking a closer look, it was a slender poisonous snake. Its neck suddenly split into two, and two triangular snake heads grew out. This is a sea snake. There are a lot of poisonous snakes in the sea, so many of them become monsters. This poisonous snake monster is obviously much more ferocious than the previous emperor lobster. The opponent is obviously hiding here to ambush the monks, so when it appears, it directly uses its magical power. During its sudden appearance, the mouths of the two heads suddenly sprayed. A large amount of black smoke was released, instantly mixed with the sea water, blended with the sea water, and spread out. This is obviously a magical power that brings severe pain. Two-headed poisonous soul, many people outside were paying attention to Wu Yu. When the monster appeared, many people exclaimed in surprise. Obviously, this two-headed poisonous soul was definitely a ruthless character on the battlefield. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Heaven Swallowing Record. Author, Fengqing Yang. Chapter 753. A jet black body, scarlet eyes, a harsh hissing voice. If poison is an attribute, the poisonous magical power of this double-headed poisonous soul has reached the level of extinction of all living things. If such a magical power is placed in the sea, with the help of sea water to spread, it will definitely be a killer weapon. This kind of magical power is not gorgeous, but it is simple and efficient. It is estimated that during the battle between the Necromantic Sea and the Biming Empire, the cultivators of the Biming Empire suffered a lot from this two-headed poisonous soul. Ordinary Yuan Shen realm could not stop him at all. Wu Yu was surrounded by the pitch-black venom at this moment. With his fiery eyes, he saw that the venom itself was also a dense black snake, only as small as a human hair. There were hundreds of millions of them. The surroundings were moving wildly, surrounding Wu Yu, directly penetrating Wu Yu's Taoist armor and biting his body. As long as it bites the smallest wound, the little poisonous snake will burrow into the body, pouring out venom crazily, biting the bones, flesh, and internal organs at the same time. In a short period of time, the opponent of this two-headed poisonous soul, the body will be completely empty, and all that will be left inside are densely packed little poisonous snakes. So Wu Yu felt the terrifying power of this double-headed poisonous soul from the very beginning. Not only this magical power, but also the two-headed poisonous soul has quickly approached Wu Yu. The monster's close combat, combined with this poisonous magical power, is quite lethal. If it were not for the realm of this demon, it would not have reached the realm of the soul. At the 8th level, Wu Yu had already escaped with a somersault cloud. This battle cannot be slow. Wu Yu reacted quickly. When the opponent's poison came out, he directly used the Golden Eye realm. Most of the monsters in the Sea of Death are biased toward coldness in their attributes, and they are most afraid of masculine things. Wu Yu's indestructible body has far greater resistance to his magical powers than others. When he uses the Golden Eye realm, for a while, his body is indestructible. His eyes sparkled with fire, and suddenly erupted, and the golden fire swept across, completely engulfing the surrounding area in a short time. The opponent's magical power range is directly covered by Wu Yu's magical power range. If the opponent's poison is only poison, it will be difficult to deal with it. After all, it is super poisonous, but these little snakes that appear are actually alive. These cold little snakes will encounter an environment like the Golden Eye realm. As soon as the Golden Eye realm appeared, the little snakes twisted, hissed, struggled, and separated from Wu Yu's body. With one move of Golden Eyes, you can directly suppress your opponent. However, Wu Yu also pursues efficient killing, and this is just the beginning. Clone. For a time, thousands of clones appeared in the Golden Eye realm at the same time. The two-headed poisonous soul was raging in the Golden Eye realm, biting towards Wu Yu with both heads. But at this moment, Wu Yu there were thousands of them, so he couldn't tell them apart for a while. Blood crying realm technique. As soon as the clones came out, all the clones, together with Wu Yu, performed the blood crying realm technique at the same time. As soon as the Taoist magic from the weeping blood monkey was cast, a harsh sound penetrated the entire golden eye realm. The two-headed poisonous soul that was attacking Wu Yu was naturally the first to be hit. The blood-crying world technique gave him a frontal blow. The two-headed poisonous soul collapsed completely, and the harsh screams it made were covered by Wu Yu's blood-crying realm technique. This huge sea snake is twisting crazily in the sea. This rolling process also wiped out dozens of Wu Yu's clones. If Wu Yu hadn't attacked first, it's hard to say whether he could have taken down this demon. After all, the opponent's magic power must be much higher than that of Wu Yu. Wu Yu relied on the large number of people to perform Tao spells together and the magical power from the Monkey King to shock the opponent. However, at this time, it is natural to pursue the victory. The Divine Elephant Prison Shock Technique. The clone's blood cry realm technique was still continuing, but Wu Yu stopped first and started to cast a new Tao technique. The Divine Elephant shocked the prison, a fatal blow. The golden fire was still burning in Wu Yu's golden eye world, blocking outsiders' sight. However, Yuan Ying Eye was originally on Wu Yu, so at least the situation around Wu Yu could be seen clearly from the outside. In fact, Wu Yu is very dazzling now, because outside, among the thousands of Yuan Ying Yi, most are black, but he has completely turned into gold, burning with anger, and he is still the only one among them. It's Wu Yu again. What kind of magic is he performing? At this time, Wu Yu's whole body was covered with golden flames. In order to kill this monster, he had basically activated himself to the strongest state, including immortal ape transformation, heaven and earth magic, violent technique, superposition of supernatural power and 72 changes, plus as he wielded the Divine Elephant Prison Shock technique and the Soul Shanghaiing Taoist artifact, a giant golden elephant suddenly appeared, fell from the sky, crashed down, and smashed headlong into the double-headed poisonous soul. At this time, the two-headed poisonous soul had just recovered a little from the severe damage caused by the blood-weeping world technique. The dragon elephant of the one long stick appeared in front of its eyes at the same time, and the golden light instantly swallowed up the two-headed poisonous soul. Done. The second dead soul yin net was successfully obtained, and no one else bothered me this time. After killing the two-headed poisonous soul, Wu Yu quickly put away his clones and magical powers, quietly sneaked into the deep water, and was away from here in an instant. He probably felt that this performance might make many people notice him. However, there is nothing I can do about it. If I don't show off today, I will still show my ability if I have to grab more dead soul yin nets next. When you come here, the most important thing is the reward. Being in the top 10 is definitely the best, but if you can make a breakthrough here, it is definitely the best. Wu Yu came here for the realm of Yuan Shen. As he expected, after he showed off various methods, many of the 800,000 people outside noticed Wu Yu. After all, just now, the two brothers of the Dark Sea Emperors had a little argument because of him. Wu Yu undoubtedly caused another argument. It is said that he defeated Gong Shenjun before. The strength he showed is really enough. This boy has average magic power, but it is not comparable to ordinary Zifu-Kanghai realm. But he has various magical arts, which are all transcendent. In addition, he has a super strong body, which makes up for the lack of magic power. I have heard that this person has a very good inheritance and many secrets. Why doesn't anyone find out? How to find out? First, he can even hide from the North Ming Emperor Beast, and second, he has the protection of Princess Yuqian. Of course, he has not been here for a long time. If he can show more secrets, it is estimated that some people will still be restless. Unexpectedly, Chu Yin of the Yanlong Legion said to the North Ming royal family with a smile while everyone was discussing it, "Everyone, after the North Ming battle, I will take Wu Yu back to the ancient country of Yanhuang. Do you have any objections? Obviously, he saw the shining points in Wu Yu. Of course, there may be other purposes. Hearing this, everyone couldn't help but look at Wu Yu more highly. On the side of the Biming royal family, Yuzhang responded, last time, Yanqing also asked him to go to Yanhuang, but Wu Yu refused. Yanqing also said that Wu Yu was forbidden to set foot in the ancient Yanhuang country for life. Chuyin smiled and said, Yanqing is nothing, the ancient Yanhuang country is not his, what he said does not count. Yanqing's status is not low, but he is the prince of the East region and is not in the power core of the ancient Yanhuang country. In terms of status, Chuyin is superior to him, but he is blatant here and does not take the other party seriously. Of course, this way of speaking is also a feature of the people of the ancient Yanhuang country. In their eyes, it is difficult to have other people. Yuzhang smiled awkwardly. Of course, he was unwilling to let Wu Yu go, so he said, it depends on whether Wu Yu is willing to go. If he doesn't want to go to Yanhuang, no one can force him. Right. Chuyin also smiled and didn't say much, because he knew that it was too early to say these things now that the battle for dominance in Biming had just begun. Who knows what will happen in half a year? Wu Yu hit again, and the others performed outstandingly, so everyone quickly shifted their attention. However, on the side of the Yanhuang ancient country, Chuyin turned his head and asked Chu Fengjiao next to him, have you seen this person? Chu Fengjiao then raised her head, glanced at Wu Yu, and nodded, I have indeed seen him in the ancient Immortal Road. While speaking, she still had no expression on her face. It is said that he was with you at the time, but he escaped and came out first. Do you know what secrets this person has? Chu Fengjiao shook her head and said, it's not long, I don't know him, but he is really interesting, try to bring him back to Yanhuang. Chuyin asked, do you think we should take him back? Chu Fengjiao said, well, after all, the good things should not flow to outsiders, he is originally from our territory. That makes sense. Chuyin stretched out his one arm, stroked his long beard, and smiled. Wu Yu didn't know that with just one performance, someone outside would come to decide his fate. After experiencing the two-headed poisonous soul, he understood more clearly that the demons here were really killers. The deeper he went, the more demons he could smell. However, it was easier to meet other participants than demons. Basically, if they met, they would leave in a hurry if they didn't know each other. Occasionally, they would exchange pleasantries. Wu Yu got 2 dead soul nets, which was considered fast. Yusing only got 1, and most people hadn't gotten any yet, because the demons now hid too well. However, there should be people who got 3 or 4. He was walking forward in a seabed mountain range. Suddenly, a red light came from afar, which Wu Yu was very familiar with. It was the breaking nether light talisman. Someone was forced out so quickly, and he was right next to Wu Yu. This meant that there was a very powerful demon over there at this time. Without saying a word, Wu Yu used the divine movement technique to rush over there. The distance was still a little far. When Wu Yu arrived, the demon seemed to have run away, leaving an old man and a young man. The old man was taking the young man away. This was a young man whom Wu Yu did not recognize, but his realm was actually the 7th level of the Yuanshen realm. What are you looking at? The young man was quite arrogant. When he saw Wu Yu, he said, you won't be able to hold on for long. It seemed that he could hardly bear the fact that he was eliminated. The old man next to him was taking him away. When he saw Wu Yu, he said, let's go quickly. There is a demon nearby. It's very strong. Heaven Swallowing Record. Author, Fengqing Yang. Chapter 754. Even this strong man in the realm of asking for the truth said that he was very strong, which was not simple. The young man who was taken away by the old man should be the one who was forced by the demon to use the breaking dark light talisman. I can't hold on for long, but I can't hold on longer than you. You are the first one to go out, and you are famous all over the world, haha. This guy is about to go out, but he still has so many words. How could Wu Yu let him bully him? You, who are you, what's your name? After you go out, I will sew your mouth shut. Wait, the other party was about to leave, and when he heard Wu Yu's words, he was so angry that he trembled all over. Go, the old man didn't give him time and chased him away directly. Wu Yu waved his hand with a smile on his face, and the other party was so angry that he vomited blood. You are so arrogant. If you have the guts, stay here. You have to go out in less than a quarter of an hour. After being taken away, the man shouted. Wu Yu was curious. It was so mysterious. What kind of demon was it that forced him out and got almost the first breaking dark light talisman? This demon might be nearby. He looked around with his fiery eyes. There was a deep valley under his feet, which was very deep. Apart from that, there was endless sea water. It was as dark as ink, covering a lot of time. In a blink of an eye, the old man had taken the young man away and disappeared completely. Wu Yu's surroundings began to become dead silent again. Except for the sound of the flowing water, there was no sound. This was a dead sea with no living creatures at all. It was possible that the demon had left. Wu Yu had been paying attention to the surroundings. He was very alert. In fact, he had another way, which was to let the clones disperse. This would be more efficient and the chance of finding the demon would be much higher. It was just a little more high profile. There was no need to rush for the time being. Maybe later, he could use this method to quickly find the demon and surpass others. Of course, it is not ruled out that he will completely disperse the clones in a few days, just like in the ancient Immortal Road. I'm afraid that the clones are too fragile. Not long after they were dispersed, they were all targeted by demons and killed. You can try it. First, disperse dozens of clones and give it a try. After waiting here for about a quarter of an hour, no demons appeared, so Wu Yu prepared to leave. Just as he was about to leave, he noticed that someone was nearby, at least intuitively, it was a pair of eyes staring at him. He scanned the surroundings again with his fire eyes and golden pupils. There was nothing but sea water around him. But he was sure that someone was around. It was very simple to confirm. He upgraded his fire eyes and golden pupils directly to the golden eye realm. Boom! The flames engulfed the surroundings. When he used the flames to control the surroundings, he suddenly realized that the existence he noticed was not far from his position. It was only a few dozen feet. In the golden eye realm, it was the range of Wu Yu's eyes. The other party hid unexpectedly well, even incredible, but Wu Yu still saw him. This is a person. At least in human form. But Wu Yu knew that although he basically didn't emit much demonic energy and maintained a human form, he must be a demon, and it was possible that he was the demon that had just made the young man use the dark light talisman. In the light of the blazing fire, Wu Yu saw this person clearly. This person was wearing a loose, colorful robe, which was very gorgeous, with many jewels and pearls buckled on it, gorgeous and exquisite. Just this clothing alone can only be described as delicate. But this person is a man. Looking up, Wu Yu was slightly shocked. This person was really handsome. He had never seen such a beautiful man in his life. His facial features, eyes, ears, mouth, and nose were all the most perfect designs. When matched together, it could be called human art. The most impressive thing was his skin color, which was white and white, as if his face was covered with several layers of powder. This person is tall, handsome, and beautiful, the best in the world. No one can forget this kind of appearance. Of course, Wu Yu can be sure that he is definitely a man, at least his chest is very flat. To be exact, he is a male demon. Not only is he handsome, but he is also dressed gorgeously and beautifully. Although he looks like an actor, actors can't be so dazzling. The raging fire of Wu Yu's golden eye realm burned him all over. Of course, a thin layer of shield blocked the raging fire of the golden eye realm, making it like a rose in the raging fire. Little friend, your eyesight really surprised me, Grandpa. Dare to be a little friend, what's your name? When Wu Yu found him, he smiled and said in a perfect voice. This demon is strange. After appearing, he didn't attack immediately and fight quickly, but talked to himself instead. Wu Yu found that he couldn't tell the other party's realm. Although he had relied on guessing before, it was basically accurate. However, the one in front of him was indeed blurry, and it was difficult to find his realm. However, that feeling of extreme danger was not wrong. In fact, Wu Yu guessed that he might not be weaker than the Northern Ming Emperor beast. Such a powerful existence, it would be good to see it. Since the other party was willing to talk to him, he was also happy to see what this demon was up to. My name is Wu Yu, what's yours? Wu Yu responded indifferently. The other party was a little surprised and said, oh, you are not afraid of me when you see me. You are not simple. Then I will not take advantage of you. That's right, my name is Nanshan Wanjiao. Living in Nanshan, looking at the bright moon from afar, isn't it very artistic? Yes, I gave myself this name. Do you feel that you are fascinated by my literary talent? This chapter is not finished yet, please click on the next page to continue reading the exciting content. Such a strong demon, but also a chatterbox. Nanshan Wanjiao. This name is indeed worthy of his handsome appearance. However, Wu Yu's fiery eyes are best at seeing through the other party's true form. After seeing through it, Wu Yu was a little embarrassed. His impression of this handsome demon has completely changed, because the other party's true form is actually a pig. His true form is all black, ugly, rough, and manic, and it is completely different from the white and tender appearance when he is in human form. Pig demon, Wu Yu has really not seen it very often. By the way, isn't this where the demons from the Sea of Dead Souls are imprisoned? How could there be wild boars among the demons from the Sea of Dead Souls? At least the two that Wu Yu had seen before were both sea demons. Like the immortal shark. The other party didn't know that Wu Yu had seen through him. He said, I found you today to ask you to help me with something. I am not a sea demon. I was born in the Baiming Empire and can be considered a member of the Baiming Empire. I have never done anything bad in my life and have always been a good citizen. I don't even want to step on a cute ant. As a result, when I was still young, suddenly one day, an old guy caught me and threw me here. This is strange. This is the place where the demons of the Dead Sea are imprisoned. Later I figured out that the old guy was escorting prisoners. One of them ran away on the road, and he actually used me to make up the number. I am pitiful. I spent my most precious youth here. Now I don't know when it will end. Can you help me report to your superiors? I am definitely a good citizen. There is such a story? If this is true, then this guy is also very pitiful, growing up in this ghost place. However, Wu Yu still has questions. He said, according to what you said, you came here when you were still young, how could you survive here and achieve what you have now? I can't believe you. The other party said in embarrassment, yes, I didn't expect it either, but I have a character since I was a child. In other words, I am good at hiding, so I survived by chance. However, if you say that I am strong, that is impossible. There is no demon weaker than me in this undead prison. He looked pitiful. Don't believe him, this guy is not an ordinary thing. The reason why you couldn't see him just now, I guess it's because he used a magical power that made it impossible for people to find him. If you didn't have a fire eye, he might be standing next to you and you wouldn't know it. After Ming Long reminded him, Wu Yu realized its horror again, and his intuition would not deceive himself. "Don't lie to me, I know how terrible you are, I don't believe what you say, I'm just curious, why don't you just do it directly, why do you tell me so much?" Wu Yu said coldly. The other party was startled, then smiled, and said, "The endless years are too boring. There is still half a year. I think that every light talisman I get should be obtained in an interesting way." Sure enough, after failing to deceive Wu Yu, he showed his fox tail. "Little friend, quickly take out your light talisman and let the handsome Nanshan Wanjiao see it." The other party approached here quietly, and Wu Yu had to rely on the golden eye realm to grasp its position. Wu Yu smiled and said, "If you want it, use your strength to rob it. To be honest, I know you are a pig demon, and I wonder why you are here, but I know that you are not a good thing." For some reason, when the word pig demon appeared, the other party's face suddenly changed, and he was very angry. Of course, he also wondered why Wu Yu could find it, but his anger still covered this doubt. "You actually irritated me, Nanshan Wanjiao stared at him with wide eyes, mumbling in his mouth, and his whole body shook like a spasm. "You are a pig demon, are you afraid that people will see through your true form?" Wu Yu was very alert, as the other party was about to lose his temper. He. Nanshan Wanjiao did not respond. Wu Yu and he looked into each other's eyes, and suddenly, the whole world spun. In an instant, he appeared in another place. Surrounded by clear sea water. In front of him was a beauty, with her back to him, her body smooth and without clothes, and her curves were breathtakingly beautiful. At this time, in a dream, she turned back quietly and smiled at him. Suddenly, Wu Yu's whole body was filled with blood. It turned out to be Lupin. Heaven-swallowing record. Author, Fengqing Yang. Chapter 755. Concubine Luo. In the clear water, my mind went blank and I forgot many things, but here I met such a beautiful concubine. Incredible. Even if it was only for a moment, this exciting scene was still deeply etched in his mind, making his blood boil. This back view and looking back with a smile are simply the most beautiful scenes in the world. However, seeing no evil, Wu Yu immediately chose to close his eyes. His mind was very confused. It was completely blank at first, but now it was filled with the scene just now, and there were still some questions, such as why she was like this in front of him. The things in front were even more blank, and I couldn't figure out why I was here. Wu Yu. That voice also belonged to Luo Bin, delicate, sexy, and full of temptation. She seemed to be close to him, her breath was like orchid, and the fragrance penetrated into the clear water and penetrated her whole body. The state at this time is chaotic and confused, but also exciting, and full of temptation. My mind was filled with that image. "Open your eyes." There was pressure in Luo Bin's voice that could not be refused. Wu Yu couldn't refuse. He opened his eyes, and the concubine appeared in front of him. With a smile, she stretched out her hands and put them on Wu Yu's shoulders. The whiteness in front of him made Wu Yu's blood boil. Especially the magnificent breasts. I have no idea why this is happening. The temperature on the palm is on the shoulder, it can't be fake. The smile on Luo Bin's lips was charming, a little shy, and a little domineering. Wu Yu had missed her for a long time and could not control himself at this time. The concubine held him in her arms, and the touch at this moment was intoxicating, especially on her chest. Wu Yu felt like he was dreaming. At this moment, it was already difficult to control myself. At this moment, his eyes widened and he saw an even more incredible scene. Behind Luo Bin, many Ying Yan appeared. Like Luo Bin, they were all naked. Their exciting figures were better and more attractive than the last. If you take a closer look, you will see that they are all familiar faces, the 9 immortals with 10,000 styles, the charming and enthusiastic Nangong Wei, Tianhai Yufukyo, Princess Yuking, Ji Linglong, etc. They are almost all the beauties Wu Yu has met. It's all like this at this time, standing in a row in front of Wu Yu, they all look shy and ready for you to pick. They are all beautiful and charming, and even Yin Ying, who has just met Wu Yu, appears here. Looked at herself shyly, with a look that wished Wu Yu could eat her up right away. Surrounded by so many naked beauties, if you want to say what happiness is, this is probably the greatest happiness. Each of them has eyes that yearn for Wu Yu, and they are as passionate as fire. This is the most important thing. If Luo Bin was alone, Wu Yu would be completely intoxicated. The situation in front of him was beautiful, but it was beyond the limit of Wu Yu's heart. He never thought that this would be a scene that he would be blessed to enjoy. Moreover, he didn't want much. It was by no means such a large group of beauties taking turns to serve him. The key point was that the 9 immortals were dead, killed by Wu Yu himself. How could she survive? There's a problem. There's a problem. This question made him very depressed. Although it was indeed very difficult for him to take the initiative to break away from the gentle land in front of him and the embrace of Luo Bin. It was like a poor man throwing away the gold he finally got. But Wu Yu was already alert in his heart. When he arrived at the trap, the more he thought about it, the more terrifying it became. Wu Yu, you have fallen under his magical power, finally, Ming Long's voice vaguely remembered in his ears. Before Wu Yu noticed the problem, this voice would not have appeared at all. Looking at the moon at Nanshan. A pig. The last 7 words made Wu Yu really wake up. He remembered everything. Before, his soul was completely confused by the other party's magical power. Everything in front of him was fake. The most disgusting thing in the world is that the beauty holding him in front of him suddenly turns into a guy with the head of a pig and the body of a human body. Wu Yu almost vomited. This time, I have figured out everything before, and I am still engaged in the battle for hegemony in the North Ming dynasty. This demon and its magical powers are truly at their peak. This is really a magical power. After seeing through it, Nangong Wei, Princess Yuking, etc. all disappeared. The clear water next to it completely turned into dark sea water, dark and dead. It's not bad. You were able to wake up from my magical power. Your concentration is pretty good. Maybe I did it too much, Nanshan Wanjiao in front of him said with his tongue. Wu Yu realized the horror of this demon. This time, he was able to escape from his magical power. It was completely luck. If the other party had only used Luo Bin, then Wu Yu probably would have been unable to do anything. It was indeed the other party's unnecessary move that allowed Wu Yu to escape. Even so, Nanshan Wanjiao is still very scary. This magical power takes effect directly and is a huge threat to Wu Yu. For other attacks, Wu Yu can also use somersault clouds to escape directly. The opponent in front of him gave Wu Yu a very terrifying feeling. He knew that it was almost impossible for him to get his opponent's death soul net, so he immediately decided to leave. Somersault cloud. Wu Yu directly used his magical power, and with rapid movements, the somersault cloud quickly integrated into his body. In an instant, he jumped out of this place, and with a somersault, he disappeared directly in front of Nanshan Wanjiao. Holy shit, what the hell, Nanshan Wanjiao was laughing. He didn't think that Wu Yu could escape his control when he came out of the illusion. Without this blink of an eye, Wu Yu simply disappeared, as if he had disappeared. This chapter is not finished yet. Please click on the next page to continue reading the exciting content. You can actually escape in front of me? How is this possible? Nanshan Wanjiao was stunned. In fact, the ones who were as depressed as him were the spectators outside. When Wu Yu and Nanshan Wanjiao met, because Wu Yu had attracted a lot of people before, there were still many people watching the development here. As a result, they saw that Wu Yu seemed to be possessed by a magical power, motionless and with a dull expression, completely under the control of Nanshan Wanjiao. Seeing that Wu Yu was about to follow in the footsteps of the previous person, he suddenly woke up, and then something strange happened. The entire Yuanying instrument was spinning. In an instant, Wu Yu reappeared, but in front of him, the Nanshan moon watching has disappeared. Yuanying I couldn't see how far Wu Yu had moved, but that moment of spinning was truly incredible. Not only is it unbelievable, it can even be said to be impossible. Wu Yu has demonstrated many magical methods before, such as clones, the Golden Eye Realm, and the ability to speak about the heavens, phenomena, and earth. These magical powers are extremely miraculous and unbelievable. They are probably unheard of in the entire Beiming Empire. Of course, even the people of the Yanhuang ancient kingdom were amazed, especially Wu Yu's final escape method. Fortunately, they didn't know how far Wu Yu had escaped. If they had known, they would have been even more shocked. In fact, Wu Yu also expected that there would be people outside who would doubt his magical power, so he pretended that he could not escape far, so he turned around and quickly moved away. That way, they'll be slightly less suspicious. Just as Wu Yu expected, there were a lot of discussions about him, all talking about what kind of inheritance he might have received, and the magical powers he possessed were very magical. It seemed that every magical power was very interesting. However, there are still quite a lot of wonderful supernatural powers in the history of this Jambu world. Therefore, the following discussion points, especially at the top level, gradually shifted to Nanshan Wanjiao, mainly the discussion of Yu's Hang and Yuki. The two seemed to have forgotten their previous confrontation. Yu Shang asked, "This demon is a bit strange. It doesn't look like a demon from the Sea of Death. Why is it locked here?" Prince Nether Devour said casually, "I don't know how he got inside, but since he's in, just stay there. The prison of the dead has never released a prisoner. Except for the battle of the North Ming dynasty, this is also the case for him. If there is an opportunity, if we can get enough death soul net, it will be no problem to let him out." Yu Shang nodded. Prince Nether Devour continued, "This guy, I remember that when I first learned that there was such a demon inside, he was still very weak, but he was very good at hiding. He has been hiding for decades, and he actually survived in the Hell Sea prison. It's not easy. The key is that his bloodline is very poor. He is the most ordinary wild boar who became a monster. But the strange thing is that he has made rapid progress and is born with a way to hide his realm. I have seen him several times and never looked at him. It's beyond its realm, but in recent years, I've discovered something." "Huh?" Yu Shang asked casually, but he didn't expect it to be so special. The other demons in the Hell Sea prison are all afraid of him, including many powerful demons. We don't monitor it all the time, so we don't know what's going on. I've studied this guy several times, but I can't see any clues. The natal magical power is a bit more wonderful. Are you afraid of him? Then what is the dark light breaking talisman you set for him?" 30. Approximately equivalent to a demon at the 9th level of the Yuanshen realm. Yu Shang nodded and said, "Then it's probably not easy for him to come out." Prince Nether Devour shook his head and said, "I think it's too low. This guy is very shrewd and good at hiding. He will probably exceed our expectations. Now I kind of regret setting him at 30. If you want him to come out, you must study it carefully. If he is really a genius monster, you must not let him have the idea of retaliating against us," Yu Shang said. "I understand, you don't need to tell me." Yu Qi rolled his eyes. The two said no more. Immediately, there were exciting things in other Yuanying II, so everyone quickly shifted their attention. This side of the Yanhuang ancient kingdom. Chuyin nodded and said, "I am thinking more and more about bringing Wu Yu back to Yanhuang." "Then what?" Chu Fenjiao asked. Chuyin said, "Research and find out where this little guy from the ceiling demon continent got these magical passage techniques." Chu Fenjiao nodded, his eyes dull. "You are listening to novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Heaven Swallowing Record. Author, Fengqing Yang. Chapter 756. Meeting that Nanshan Wanjiao, from the time they met to now escaping from its control, Wu Yu felt a little puzzled. Wu Yu didn't know the truth of some of the other party's words, such as his origins, etc. He asked, Ming Long, this guy showed two magical powers, one can hide the body and breath, which is difficult to detect, and the other is the previous illusion magical power. What do you think is strange? He knew very well that if the other party hadn't gone to such great lengths to conjure up a lot of women, Wu Yu's soul would have been suppressed and immersed in the illusion. After all, Wu Yu didn't even have a soul. Ming Long said, to be honest, from the four magical powers on you, I feel that the other party must have received an amazing inheritance. It is estimated that the inheritor is of a very high level and may be close to becoming an immortal. That's pretty amazing. Thinking of what happened just now, it was indeed very thrilling. However, it is not easy to encounter the same demon again in such a large sea of ghosts. So, he put aside the matter of this demon and continued to hunt the demons in the sea. In half a year, those who are at the 10th level of the Yuanshen realm will find it much easier to kill demons than me. After some thought, Wu Yu decided to take a risk and use his clones to determine the location of the demons. The first time, he split 50 clones and went in various directions. His original body stayed in this position and the clones went to find the demons. His clones also looked very weak. If the demons met him, they would probably take the initiative to attack. In this way, Wu Yu could determine the location of the demons and even their strength. At present, he could only deal with demons at the 6th and 7th levels of the Yuanshen realm. For those above, he did not need to take risks. In comparison, there were still slightly more weaker demons. After the 50 clones went out, they did not expect the effect to come soon. One of the clones went deep into the abyss, and soon an ambushed demon discovered it and attacked it instantly. Wu Yu's clone was instantly destroyed. Although the time was short and he did not even see the demon clearly, Wu Yu could still judge the strength of the demon through its means. It can be fought. He went there quickly. Wu Yu used the somersault cloud and directly used it to compete with speed. As soon as the opponent made a move, Wu Yu's clone disappeared. He obviously knew that he was trapped and fled in a hurry. His escape speed was not slow, but Wu Yu's somersault cloud was indeed extremely fast. When he ran fast, people outside could only see a blur of the Yuanying instrument. At this speed, even the Yuanying instrument was a little blurry. There were actually not many of these thousands of Yuanying instruments. Wu Yu's clone was not far away from him, so he still caught up with the opponent. And after his clone was destroyed, the clone next to him also caught up and determined the location of that guy. It was a demon in the 6th level of the Yuanshen realm. Wu Yu solved it smoothly and got the third dead soul net. This is indeed much more efficient. After tasting the sweetness, Wu Yu quickly released more clones, but basically within the range of catching up after discovering the demon. Basically, there are hundreds of clones, moving outside. The advantage of this is that it is faster to kill demons. The downside is that there are more demons and other participants, which can easily cause others to be unhappy with themselves. Others can easily see that Wu Yu is using the clone to fish. Moreover, now is the beginning, most of the demons are still very smart. Even if a weak Wu Yu clone passes by, most of them will be suspicious and may not take action. Therefore, although the speed of killing demons is very fast, Wu Yu knows that he is still not the fastest here. Half a month later, Wu Yu met a lot of other people. He got 18 dead soul yin nets. It is estimated that this number can be ranked in the top 50 among all people. If you are in the top 50, it is unlikely to get a reward. This is not Wu Yu's goal. So, he knows that he needs to break through. Of course, breaking through is not so easy, especially in the realm of Yuan Shen. He must know very clearly what Yuan Shen is. There is a method of condensing Yuan Shen in the Great Heavenly Immortal technique. Minglong has a method of splitting a second Yuan Shen after condensing Yuan Shen, but it is really not easy to understand this method. The key to condensing the soul is that everyone's soul is different. The soul contains the most fundamental Tao, so there are only methods in the Great Heavenly Immortal technique, but the real success depends on Wu Yu himself. The soul cannot be caught or touched. Only after the soul is condensed can its existence be felt. In theory, the soul is immortal. As long as there is a place to live, it can still exist with a trace of residual soul. For example, Minglong, after dying in battle, the golden hoop swallowed her. If Wu Yu died in battle, he might be able to go in and keep Minglong company. Wu Yu is now too eager to enter the realm of the soul. While fighting fiercely, he is enlightened. Although there is some effect, it is slower than he imagined. After the clones are separated, they can always meet other cultivators. After seeing them a few times, those cultivators know that this is Wu Yu's clone. They are a little unhappy about this. In fact, most of them still don't know Wu Yu, but after listening to other people talking more, they slowly get to know him. These guys really didn't take Wu Yu seriously. Later, when they saw Wu Yu's clone, they killed him. Being high profile really offended a lot of people. However, since it was a competition, Wu Yu really didn't care. He continued to maintain a high speed, and among the same strength, the speed of obtaining the dead soul yin net was indeed the first. This chapter is not finished yet, please click on the next page to continue reading the exciting content. Half a year is actually not that long. In half a month, Wu Yu met at least hundreds of people, and even met Duanyi once. 9/10 of the time remains. Yukong's speed was pretty good too, and he got 5 death soul yin nets. Those ranked in the top 100 are basically at the 9th or 10th level of the Yuan Shen realm, such as Duanyi. The net of dead souls he harvested is definitely not as much as Wu Yu's, although he also has spiritual tools. This time, Wu Yu released hundreds of clones, all moving in one direction. After becoming proficient in hunting down demons, his net became wider and wider. During this process, he was unable to take action against at least half of the monsters he encountered. Because these monsters are all above the 8th level of the soul. The clones moved. Unexpectedly, hundreds of clones did not encounter Duanyi, but his main body in the center suddenly encountered Duanyi. Not only Duanyi, there was another person next to Duanyi. When Wu Yu's body suddenly appeared here, Duanyi Zhen was very respectful and spoke to that person. Wu Yu could see the man clearly at a glance. He was wearing a black robe with a golden dragon embroidered on it. He was mighty and domineering, yet powerful without being angry. This young man was born with top-notch domineering power. His eyes were long and narrow, as deep as a cold pool, and the city was extremely deep. Wu Yu naturally knew him. He was one of the 3 brothers of Yujia who entered the prison of the Sea of Ghosts. Of the 3 brothers who participated in the war, this man was the most domineering. I remember his name is Yuki. This character means flying dragon in the sky. This person's realm, as expected, should be at the 10th level of the Yuan Shen realm, which is close to the realm of the 3 disasters. Prince Yuki is also very well known throughout the Beiming Empire. Although he has not joined the army, he has made outstanding military achievements. He is also one of the favorites to compete for the new Beiming Emperor in the future. The years of practicing Taoism are about 80 years. When Wu Yu saw the 2 of them, they also saw him. Duanyi thought this was Wu Yu's clone, with an impatient look on his face. After saying go, he stretched out his hand, and a swift black light struck Wu Yu's chest, trying to pierce Wu Yu's clone. However, this was Wu Yu's true form after all, and he dodged Duanyi's attack with a slight dodge. Is it the true body? Duanyi was surprised. Under normal circumstances, If he encounters a more difficult opponent, Wu Yu needs to quickly recall his clones and use Taoist attacks at the same time. Wu Yu didn't want to get entangled with them, he was about to leave directly. Don't leave unexpectedly, Prince Yuki stopped Wu Yu. Prince Yuki, are you okay? The other party has a higher status than Yukin, so Wu Yu doesn't want to have any conflicts with him. The other party's eyes were cold, he examined Wu Yu for a while, and then asked, I've heard a lot of rumors about you in the past few days. You used your avatars to lure enemies, and you were very high profile. Since there is such a good method, let's talk about how many deaths you have gotten so far. Solian Network. He asked in a commanding tone, and of course Wu Yu had to answer. 18 pictures. Wu Yu didn't hesitate. Duanyi's eyes widened and he felt a little unhappy. It was obvious that Wu Yu's number was higher than his. However, Prince Yuki was not very surprised. Apparently, the number of his dead soul nets, even now, should be in the top 5, at least 50. He looked at Wu Yu again and said thoughtfully, it is said that you and my imperial sister have a good relationship. In fact, it is not just a good relationship, but also an ambiguous relationship, right? She is very protective of you. Duanyi must have said a lot in front of him. It seems that Yuki wants to take care of this matter. Wu Yu was neither humble nor arrogant, and said, I saved Princess Yukin's life on the Teku Immortal Road, and I am considered a close friend of life and death, but to talk about an ambiguous relationship is a step too far. He knew what Yu Qi wanted to say. As expected, the other party said, no matter what your friendship is, stay away from my imperial sister from now on. If I hear you pestering her again, I will throw you into the sea directly. Do you understand? Wu Yu still needs to rely on Yu Chong, how can he be farther away? Of course, there was no need for him to argue with the prince here, so he nodded. If there is nothing else, I will leave first. Wu Yu was too lazy to stay here to watch the prince show his majesty. He was about to move. The other party's eyes turned cold, and his voice became much colder, and he said, did I tell you to leave? Heaven Swallowing Record. Author, Fengqing Yang. Chapter 757. Obviously, this Prince Yukin finally met his true body, and he didn't want to let himself leave easily. %1. Just now, he warned Wu Yu to stay away from Yukin, hoping to oppress Wu Yu and make him rebel, but he didn't expect Wu Yu to agree directly. He probably waited for Wu Yu to disagree, and then taught Wu Yu a lesson. Taiwan Novel Network. Rightward arrow. Imagine that a foreigner, relying on his sister's protection, acts high profile in the underworld, arrogant, and as the Prince of Biming, since he bumped into him, he must take care of him. So, Wu Yu wanted to leave his sight, but he didn't agree. Wu Yu, you are not from my Biming, it's already very good to be able to come here, and you dare to perform well. Do you want to embarrass so many young talents in my Biming? Yukin stared at Wu Yu and said word by word. If you want to suppress someone, any excuse is valid. Wu Yu waved his hand and said, then what do you think I should do? This is originally a place of competition. I just do what I should do according to my own strength. Besides, there are 800,000 people outside watching. Yu Qian sneered. Duanyi beside him also laughed. I don't need to care about them no matter what I do. Since you have the misfortune to meet me, I will tell you frankly. After I leave, when you meet the next demon, you should know better and light the breaking nether light talisman and get out of our Biming territory. I won't bother you. This is easy for you. I don't think you have the courage to refuse, Yu Qian said with a smile. This is to drive Wu Yu away directly. Of course, this prince is so determined, there must be Duanyi talking about it next to him. Unexpectedly, this guy is still such a gossipy villain. However, Wu Yu could not agree to what Yu Qian said. The other party really thought he was superior and regarded Wu Yu as a small character who could be ordered around. Although the other party's status was indeed noble, Wu Yu dared to come here, so he was fearless. He had even faced the devouring demon ancestor before, and he was not afraid of this guy at all. So he shook his head decisively and said, "I'm sorry, it was the commander of the Yuzhang army who let me in. If you want to drive me out, you have to ask him first." In fact, he knew that Yukin was waiting for Wu Yu to rebel against him, so that he could have an excuse to attack Wu Yu. Compared to letting Wu Yu do it himself, he would rather send Wu Yu out directly. Although so many people were watching, he didn't care. The participants could fight each other here, as long as no one died, it was not considered a violation of the rules. Some people were also forced out by other participants. Bold, presumptuous, dare to talk to the prince like this. Duan Yi's face turned black, and he cursed in a deep voice, but he was actually very happy in his heart. Prince Yukin, who was standing by, seized the opportunity and was about to make a move. At this juncture, Wu Yu used the second level of his magical power, the somersault cloud. The somersault cloud had already merged into his body, and he could turn over at any time and get away from here. He was ready to leave directly, and was too lazy to engage in fearless entanglement with the two men. As for offending Prince Yukin, it was not something he could control, as the other party had set their sights on him. When he came to the North Sea domination battle, Wu Yu wanted to be in the top 10, and it was impossible for him to be low-key. In an instant. Unexpectedly, Prince Yukin was more efficient than Wu Yu had imagined. He knew something about Wu Yu, and he must have known that Wu Yu was about to leave at this time, and once he left, he probably couldn't catch up. He should know that Duan Yi had attracted the North Sea Emperor Beast. The North Sea Emperor Beast couldn't catch up with Wu Yu, and he was not much different from the North Sea Emperor Beast. So, strike first. Tianlong Zhenhun, the eyes of Prince Yukin changed, and instantly became extremely cold. Invisibly, this magical power was generated. In an instant, Wu Yu's fiery eyes saw that in front of him was a transparent dragon, which was condensed from illusory mist. This should be a magical power to attack the soul and soul, which is slightly similar to the blood-crying world technique. The magical power of the Prince of the Beiming Empire is indeed terrifying. Wu Yu underestimated his opponent a little and was a little slow. Although he quickly turned back and disappeared here in an instant, he could clearly feel that the mist dragon drilled into his body during this process and was taken away by Wu Yu directly. Of course, the part that drilled in had only one dragon head. This kind of magical power to attack the soul is the most difficult to defend. Most Taoist armors are useless. With a swish, Wu Yu appeared in another place. This time there was an accident, and he directly summoned his clone to return. There was a deep trench under his feet. He drilled into it directly and found a safe place full of silt and sand. The reason why he hid quickly was because part of the magical power of the Prince Yukin had already entered his body. This magical power was difficult to expel. Now this dragon-like mist dragon was wandering around Wu Yu randomly, just like a knife moving forward in his body. After being torn apart, it was not the body that hurt, but the soul. I was careless. He had prepared quickly, but he didn't expect that the other party had this magical power to attack the soul, and entered his body first and was brought out by him. He was very surprised. Now he had to find a way to expel this magical power quickly. In fact, the Prince Yukin and Duan Yi were even more surprised, because they saw Wu Yu disappear in front of them with their own eyes. Your Highness, the last time he encountered the Beiming Emperor Beast, he escaped like this. It is precisely because of this method of escape that he dared to be so arrogant, Duan Yi said with hatred. However, this time he was hit by His Highness's magical power, and he will definitely suffer a lot. Yuju's eyes were deep and he said, only part of the magical power actually hit him, but he is not in the realm of Yuan Shen. It is estimated that this one blow can kill half of his life. The problem is, This person can cross so many, there are so many magical methods in level combat. I think he must have many secrets, and there are many people who want to decipher his secrets. Now that he is here, I must be one step ahead, at least with him. The spiritual Taoist artifact is considered precious. Obviously, Prince Yuki coveted Wu Yu's inheritance. Wu Yu is Duan Yi's biggest concern and his most difficult rival in the competition for Yukang. He wishes Wu Yu could lose everything, so he said, I think so too. It's a pity that the elders are too worried about Yukang. It's up to you to take action, it is perfect to seize his inheritance. However, this Ghost Sea prison is so big, it will not be easy to find him. Yuji smiled and said, this time, he can't escape very far, and he has used my magical power. My magical power, Tianlong Soul Suppression, is still wreaking havoc on him. As long as I get close, I can find his location. Although his means of escape are indeed good, I won't let him escape from my grasp next time. It's been a long time and he's not too anxious. Let's go first to the place you just mentioned. I want to see how many monsters are hidden there. If I wasted a little time, others will definitely gain a lot. Your Highness, come with me. I will never dare to lead you carelessly. I have repeatedly confirmed that there are many weak demons hiding there, shivering. Yuki smiled and said, then just send these poor guys to hell. Monsters, devils, are all despicable things. A knife was moving wildly around his body, tingling all over his body. This feeling was really uncomfortable. It is not the body that hurts, but the soul. Only Wu Yu has always attacked other people's souls. This is the first time he has endured it. It is really terrifying. That kind of tingling feeling, even if you want to pass out, you are awake and tingling all the time. You don't have a soul now, and you don't have a soul to attack or protect. It's very difficult to get rid of this attack. If you can't get rid of it, this magical power will always stay in your body and wreak havoc, and it can even let that bullshit prince find you. Minglong frowned. Yuji. There is no grievance or enmity, the other party just forces him to a dead end. I have recorded this account. There is no identity that Wu Yu is absolutely in awe of. For example, in Wang Xiantai, he killed quite a few super geniuses. The first time they met, the other party brought such murderous intent to him. If he took note of this debt, he would definitely pay it back to Yuji, no matter he was a prince or something else. The key now is to expel the opponent's magical power. The soul is always stinging, and I have no soul at all. How can I expel it? In fact, Yuki just hit Wu Yu's weakness. Wu Yu's soul was very strong at this time, but he did not have the soul to resist such an attack. Once invaded, it would be difficult to escape intact. Most people didn't expect Wu Yu's weakness. The other party must have thought about it before attacking like this. Now that the clone has returned secretly, Wu Yu's speed at killing monsters has dropped. The 800,000 people outside must have seen the situation between him and Yuki. Obviously, people would only feel pity for him. Hiding now also shows that Wu Yu is now in a dangerous situation. The soul is constantly stung and stimulated. If this continues, it may even be life-threatening. What should I do? Minglong was also very anxious. At this time, Wu Yu's face was already pale and his forehead was sweating. He was sitting cross-legged on the ground with fierce eyes. It's been a long time since I've been hurt like this. In the past, no one knew about the existence of souls, but under the stimulation of this magical power, Wu Yu had the outline of a soul. At least he knew where the pain was. Are all places where souls exist. Stinging, ferocious. After half a day, Wu Yu was very clear about the souls all over his body, and felt its existence like never before. However, this feeling was really painful, and his face was completely pale by this time. Not only was there cold sweat on his forehead, but also all over his body. What should I do? Ming Tong cried anxiously. Wu Yu took a deep breath and made a crazy decision. This decision was based on his feeling the existence of the soul. So, he gritted his teeth and said, just don't do anything, and don't stop, condense your soul to dispel this magical power. Heaven Swallowing Record. Author, Fengqing Yang. Chapter 758. Concentrate the Soul. This was originally Wu Yu's biggest purpose in coming to the Sea of Ghosts. In the past, he searched hard, but there was no idea. The most critical point is that he didn't know how to control his soul at all, and didn't know where it was. But now, because of the fatal oppression of this magical power, it was merciless and brought a tragic killing intent, but Wu Yu clearly felt his soul and deeply understood what a soul is. This is equivalent to the most difficult level, because it was solved by accident. Of course, this does not mean that the magical power of Yukin can help everyone achieve the realm of the soul. First, because Wu Yu's soul is much stronger than others of the same realm. Second, it is also because Wu Yu used the somersault cloud to escape at that time, and only such a small part entered Wu Yu's body. If all of them were concentrated, Wu Yu would probably be in big trouble now. Rather than the possible existence of a self-defeating opportunity. At this time, for Wu Yu, either he would be entangled and tortured, or he would gamble desperately. When cultivating the Tao, one must be decisive when necessary, so he did not wait for Ming Long to explain the pros and cons, and directly launched the great heavenly immortal technique to execute the method of condensing the soul. This is the art of the heavenly immortal. Of course it is much more complicated than the ordinary soul art, but it can be imagined that the soul condensed by Wu Yu at this level will definitely be much stronger than that of a normal person, just like his golden elixir at the beginning. He started directly. The great heavenly immortal technique is the fundamental way for the Monkey King to become an immortal. Wu Yu has an indestructible body, 4 great magical powers, and 72 transformations, but the most fundamental thing related to becoming an immortal is the great heavenly immortal technique. The tingling soul all over his body made Wu Yu completely integrate into it. At this time, he almost forgot his physical body and completely entered into the soul. The world is a huge sea of suffering. The physical body is a boat, and the soul is the foundation of human beings. Wu Yu saw this sentence. In the past, he might not understand what this meant, but now that his soul was stabbed, and there were no scars on his body, but it was more painful, he understood a little. In practicing Taoism, it is indeed more important to understand the Tao. Most of these understandings are transformed into Purple Palace energy, stirring in the Purple Palace Sea. However, the most fundamental part is hidden in the soul, and the soul will eventually become the soul, and the soul is the place where all the understandings of the Tao converge. The more the soul hurts, the more difficult it is to get rid of it, the more Wu Yu is immersed in it, the more he forgets about the body, and the more so, for him, condensing the soul, let him find a familiar feeling, it is like forging an indestructible body, making the body stronger. Condensing the soul is also to forge the soul stronger. Until, this Tianlong Zhenhuan magical power that has penetrated into his body can no longer stab the soul. Therefore, for Wu Yu, condensing the soul is actually the same as forging the body, especially at this time, he clearly felt the existence of the soul, and there was only the soul in his world. This is actually very clever. If the supernatural power of the Prince Yukin was a little stronger, Wu Yu would have been overwhelmed by the pain of the soul, and he would have no intention to practice and could not concentrate. If it was a little weaker, it would not bring enough pain to Wu Yu, and it would be difficult to integrate into the soul to such a degree. So at this time, Wu Yu decided that this was God helping him. A once-in-a-lifetime opportunity appeared in front of him. He didn't expect that this day would come so soon. He had just entered the Sea of Ghosts for more than half a month. What was even more unexpected was that the whole process was quite smooth. The soul had long been unbearable under the pain of the supernatural power. The more it hurt, the more it condensed. Although it was invisible, under the great heavenly immortal technique, these invisible souls gathered in one direction. That place is called the Sea of Consciousness. The Sea of Consciousness is similar to the Purple Mansion Sea, but it is different. It is also an invisible place, opened up by the condensation of souls. This is the second step to achieve the primordial spirit. The first step is to condense the soul. The second step is to open up the Sea of Consciousness. The third step is to gather the primordial spirit and guard the Sea of Consciousness. In the Sea of Consciousness, there is the primordial spirit. In the Purple Mansion Sea, there is the Purple Mansion Yuan Li. Wu Yu's rapidly contracted and stabbed soul, and under the piercing of the opponent's magical power, the soul became stronger and stronger. The contraction process was very smooth. When the soul condensed, it would become stronger, and the power of the magical power would gradually decrease. The dragon head was now rampaging on Wu Yu. Wu Yu could hardly feel the pain, because the soul had contracted very tightly, and it could not touch or penetrate. Very good, continue. Next, open up the Sea of Consciousness. Ming Long was also very excited. When your soul is finally formed, remember to use the method I taught you before to tear your soul apart and form a second soul. This process is equivalent to tearing your body into two halves. Of course, it is very painful, but the soul at this time is new. With the strength of your soul, even if it is split into two halves, it can meet the requirements of the great heavenly immortal technique and is much stronger than others. So, for the sake of the body of the demon ancestor devouring the sky, you have to endure the pain. Believe me, with this second body, you not only have one more body, but also one more ability that defies the heavens. You are likely to become the new demon ancestor devouring the sky. Of course, you have the ability, but how you really use it depends on yourself. I can only say that the benefits of that body are no less than the inheritance of immortals. After all, the demon ancestor devouring the sky was suppressed by immortals. This chapter is not over yet, please click on the next page to continue reading. Ming Long reminded again. He was afraid that Wu Yu would be too happy after condensing his soul and forget about it. The time to split the second soul is probably within 10 breaths after the formation of the soul. Once this time is missed, the soul will be completely condensed, and then the opportunity will be completely lost. That would definitely not work. That egg is the most precious thing for Wu Yu now. Wu Yu also longed for the ability that Ming Long said, so of course he did not forget about the second soul. Of course, the most important thing now is to successfully sprint to the soul realm. If the soul is not achieved, all those are empty. If he could reach the realm of Yuan Shen, he could also upgrade his clones outside the law, and completely conquer the upper spiritual weapon Wanlong Stick. He could also learn another 72 transformations. At that time, tens of thousands of clones would sweep across the sea of ghosts. Just thinking about it made him excited. Don't be distracted. Yeah, thinking about the exciting things, he was indeed a little distracted. Fortunately, someone reminded him. Wu Yu returned to the soul and tried his best to shrink and compress it to the extreme. He could burst out in an instant and open up the Sea of Consciousness. The Sea of Consciousness exists in everyone's body. This process is just to make it appear. For Wu Yu, the most difficult step has been successful, and there is a fairly complete method for opening up the Sea of Consciousness in the great heavenly immortal technique. After Wu Yu controlled the soul, the next step became much simpler. Squeeze to the extreme, burst out with one move, and the Sea of Consciousness appears invisibly. The soul of the whole body seemed to have entered another world. If the body is a boat, the soul is a person, and the appearance of the Sea of Consciousness is like a cabin. In the past, there was no cabin on the boat. The soul was exposed to wind and rain. Even if the body and the hull were strong, without a place to shelter from the wind and rain, the soul would still be very fragile. Now that the Sea of Consciousness has appeared, the soul is hidden in it. Even if the Yuan Shen is not condensed, Yukin's magical power can no longer attack Wu Yu so easily. The cabin is closed. If the beast that fell on the boat wants to attack people again, it must tear open the cabin and go inside. The sea of consciousness is opened. Wu Yu's soul appeared in a white world. It was a bit like the Purple Mansion Sea, but there was no mana, only emptiness. The Yuan Shen realm has reached the last step. In fact, by this time, Wu Yu has succeeded more than half. He is only one step away from what he expected. In fact, compared with his age in cultivation, he has only reached the Yuan Shen realm now, which is not slow at all. On the contrary, it is a speed that has never been seen in the world of Yanfu. After all, he started to cultivate Taoism when he was in his teens. So far, it has only been about 10 years. In the Yanhuang ancient domain, children start to cultivate Taoism at a young age. For example, Yukin has been cultivating Taoism for decades and has only reached the 7th level of Yuan Shen realm. If Wu Yu has cultivated Taoism for so many years, he is estimated to be able to reach the realm of Taoism. Hunter came to a warm environment. Next, he can rest assured to slowly transform into Yuan Shen in this greenhouse. In the sea of consciousness, there is the power to transform the soul into Yuan Shen. Those floating mists are Wu Yu's Tao, which gradually merge into the soul. In this way, the Yuan Shen realm is no longer a problem. And Yukin's magical power, at this time, is colliding in Wu Yu's body, and it can't do anything to Wu Yu. When Wu Yu achieves Yuan Shen, it is not difficult to expel it. After all, this small part of the magical power is not strong in itself. Remember, the second Yuan Shen Minglong reminded again. In fact, it is not difficult for Wu Yu to condense his soul now. His soul realm is basically ready. What makes him a little nervous is the splitting of the second soul. This is very rough, just like a newborn baby being torn in half. Speaking of it, it is indeed cruel. But at least after the soul is torn, it will become two, but they are not the same. According to the splitting of the second soul, the two souls are in the golden ratio. The main soul stays in Wu Yu's body, occupying about 618 thousandths, and the rest is the second soul, which controls the body of the devouring demon ancestor. Of course, although Wu Yu is divided into two, both are himself. He always has only one thought. The second soul is equivalent to a second body, or equivalent to a few more arms, thighs, eyes, noses, etc. The most fundamental thing is the soul. This second soul body is basically equivalent to an upgraded version of the lawless clone. The lawless clone does not have a soul sitting in it, but the second soul does, so the second soul is much stronger than the lawless clone. The key is the ability from the devouring demon ancestor. Swallowing the world. Gradually, Wu Yu's soul was about to condense successfully and enter a new realm. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Heaven Swallowing Record. Author, Fengqing Yang. Chapter 759. The sea of consciousness was originally filled with mist, but now it is all gathered in the soul. Wu Yu used the method of great heavenly immortal technique to create the soul. After a lot of hard work, the Yuan Shen finally took shape, and Wu Yu was close to a new realm, the Yuan Shen realm. From condensing energy to golden elixir, then to Zifu, and now rushing to Yuan Shen. Every major realm is a huge transformation of life. Condensing Qi, Golden Pill, and Zifu are all transformations of the physical body, while the realm of Yuan Shen is the transformation of the soul. It can be said that reaching the realm of Yuan Shen is a comprehensive and perfect ascetic. In other words, it is the beginning of spiritual practice. The soul and body are all transformed. For Wu Yu, the soul that is taking shape is not completely over, and even the next step is the highlight. Although the heaven-swallowing demon ancestor is not a good thing, even an immortal would be jealous of her ability. In the impression, the appearance after the appearance of the heaven-devouring demon ancestor appeared. She appeared in the form of the Tianhai Jade Fu, with white hair and bloody eyes, sexy and enchanting. Compared with the original Tianhai Jade Fu, she was simply not on the same level. The white hair was as dazzling as white snow, and the bloody eyes showed bloodthirsty elegance. These were the bloody eyes of a giant beast that devoured the world. Although she was suppressed by the Ruyi golden cudgel in an accident, Wu Yu still couldn't forget it. Moreover, he felt that the heaven-swallowing demon ancestor was not dead forever. To him, the other party was still quite terrifying. The soul condenses. The mist in the sea of consciousness was completely sucked into the soul. In the sea of consciousness, a looming human figure appeared, just like Wu Yu's original appearance. Ming Taki was surprised. It's amazing. Your Yuan Shen has just been condensed, and it is more solid than others at the 4th or 5th level of the Yuan Shen realm. It is estimated that the successful condensation must be at the level of the 7th or 8th level of the Yuan Shen realm. This proves that his soul has been nurtured before. Among them, it is already quite powerful. I guess it has something to do with you taking a lot of Dao Yuan Shen pills and Dao Yuan Shen fruit. You know, the normal Zifu Kanghai realm cannot bear the Dao Yuan Shen pills. In the Yuan Shen realm, when the Yuan Shen is first condensed, it is an illusory human form. The further it advances, the illusion will become more solid. It is said that when the Yuan Shen realm reaches the 10th level, it will condense into an entity, showing a very clear human form. The Yuan Shen at the 7th or 8th level of the Yuan Shen realm is exactly the level of Wu Yu's current combat effectiveness. Although after he succeeded, he was still at the 1st level of the Yuan Shen realm, and the Zifu Yuanli realm was also the 1st level, but the Yuan Shen was probably really similar to those at the 7th or 8th level of the Yuan Shen realm. Of course, just because the Purple Mansion Yuanli realm is the 1st level, it does not mean that his Purple Mansion Yuanli is the 1st level. Wu Yu, this is the Purple Mansion Yuanli condensed by the Great Heavenly Immortal Technique, which completely surpasses the same level in the Golden Core Dao realm. Just the Yuan power of Zifu is comparable to the 4th or 5th level of Yuan Shen realm. Of course, this is also the reason why Wu Yu can challenge Gong Shenjun and the others. If you don't have enough Zifu Yuanli, combined with the physical body, the 4 great magical powers, etc., you are not qualified to become Gong Shenjun's opponents. The solid soul may not be of much help to Wu Yu's combat effectiveness for the time being, but it will play a significant role in his enlightenment and resistance to soul attacks. Such a solid soul will be of great benefit to you when you split the second soul. If you are an ordinary soul, after you reach the realm of the soul, it will be illusory. After splitting, you may have 2 souls. They will collapse. But even if your soul is divided into 2, it is still much more solid than others. Ming Tong said excitedly. As soon as she finished speaking, Wu Yu's soul had gradually solidified. Just as Ming Long expected, Wu Yu's soul gradually became clearer and solidified. As soon as it is condensed, it is the 1st level of other people's soul realm, and then it quickly reaches the 2nd level, the 3rd level. His soul is getting clearer and clearer. This is probably really related to the fact that he swallowed too many Dao Yuan Shen pills in the Yuan Shen realm, as well as the Dao Pregnancy God fruit, which is used to target the Zifu Yuan power, but it is not suitable for pregnancy and nourishing Yuan. God's efficacy and medicinal power have been accumulated and exploded at this time today. At the 1st level of the Yuan Shen realm, he can be promoted to this level. When Wu Yu reaches the 1st level of the Yuan Shen realm, how solid will his Yuan Shen be? 10 breaths later, both Wu Yu and Ming Long were shocked, because their souls were already very clear, and very solid and strong. At this time, the magical power of Prince Yuki was probably unable to do anything to Wu Yu. This is definitely the 9th level of the Yuan Shen realm. A normal person would have to cultivate to the 9th level to reach this level. In terms of the degree of solidification of the Yuan Shen, you are almost as good as Duan Yi. Ming Taki said, very surprised. Just entering the first level is directly equivalent to the level of the 9th level. If the soul can form combat power, it will be terrifying. The Dao Yuan Shen pill hasn't had this effect yet. I guess it's the Dao pregnancy fruit from the Teiku Immortal Road, which is specially designed to nourish the soul. This level of soul condensation is of great benefit to Wu Yu in splitting the second soul, and provides a solid foundation. It's time to begin. When it is condensed to the extreme, the realm of Yuan Shen has basically been completely successful. At this moment, he has completely reached the realm of Yuan Shen. The next 10 breaths of time are Wu Yu's only chance. Wu Yu has been waiting for this moment for a long time. He had already prepared the method Ming Long taught him. Split, the second soul. Originally, Ming Long was a little worried, but now that she saw Wu Yu's soul reaching such a level, she was basically relieved. After all, she was very familiar with the second soul method. If there was any problem, she could teach Wu Yu how to solve it. This chapter is not over yet, please click on the next page to continue reading the exciting content. However, Wu Yu was much smarter than he thought. He followed the steps step by step. At the beginning of the second breath within 10 breaths, he was very fast and accurate. He directly used the secret method given by Ming Long to tear the soul into 2 halves. One half was slightly more, occupying the foundation, and the other was in a secondary position. This moment was really painful, dozens of times more painful than the previous attack of Yukin's magical power. It was not at the same level at all. At that moment, Wu Yu felt that he was dead. His mind was in chaos, and his soul was pierced. It really hurt to the depths of his soul. This kind of pain could not even be released by shouting. This is really the feeling of a person being torn in half. The key is that if he was torn in half normally, he would have died long ago, but Wu Yu is very sober now. He is not dead, but more and more sober, and clearly feels the pain of tearing. At this time, the only thing he thought about was that if he had to do this again next time, he really wouldn't dare to do it again. If he wanted to have a more terrifying ability, he had to endure this kind of suffering. When Wu Yu could endure even this level of pain, he found that there was really nothing to be afraid of in this world. In fact, the pain might only last for a moment, but this moment was so long and terrifying in his own feelings that Wu Yu had been waiting for it to end. Hurry up, continue to condense the soul. Ming Long urged. This process was simply to condense the soul again. The soul had just condensed, and Wu Yu instantly tore it apart, splitting it into 2 parts. Both parts were torn into an illusory state. Wu Yu was now isolating them and letting them split into his own soul. One big and one small, the big one was slightly more powerful than the small one. Fortunately, when the soul began to condense, the pain immediately weakened. This was Wu Yu's first achievement of the soul, and this was a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. After this time, tearing his soul apart again would be suicide and direct death. No one dared to do this. Wu Yu was so bold that he took the risk. Of course, there were also souls that were strong enough. After being torn into 2 halves, the 2 halves still miraculously maintained their majestic state, and then condensed into 2 souls that looked like Wu Yu, one slightly larger. Success. Ming Long was very excited when he saw the 2 souls gradually taking shape. In fact, she was also using Wu Yu to make a crazy plan. How terrible is it to have the ability of the devouring demon ancestor? After the 2 souls took shape, it would be a bit strange, because only one soul can exist in the sea of consciousness, and 2 souls will lead to extreme chaos. The cleverness of this splitting method lies here. The 2 souls repel each other, and the big soul directly squeezes the small soul out of the sea of consciousness. Although they are all Wu Yu's souls, at this time, his mental will has become extremely confused. Wu Yu, leave the body and enter your Sumuru bag. It is very dangerous for the soul to leave the body. Once the soul leaves the body, the physical body will begin to decay. Although many people can achieve the soul leaving the body, normal people dare not do so, and the soul will soon perish after leaving the body, unless there is a place like the Ruyi No one will leave unless they have to. And Minglong reminded Wu Yu to do this at this time. When Wu Yu heard such a voice, the small soul that was excluded from the sea of consciousness reacted. The physical body has the big soul sitting in it, so it will not decay at all, and the small soul is redundant at this time. These two souls are a bit like Wu Yu's two arms. Wu Yu let the small soul enter the Sumuru bag just like controlling one of his arms. The reason for doing this is that the egg is in the Sumuru bag. Wu Yu can't let the egg go outside, because there is a yuanying instrument, which will let people outside see it. There are so many strong people outside, and this process must not be seen by outsiders. At this time, he instantly split several clones to protect him. As long as the second soul clone of the Sumuru bag succeeded, he would let it leave the Sumuru bag instantly to avoid bursting the Sumuru bag. Normally, the second soul clone and other clones, at least from the outside, should not look much different, so when it comes out at that time, people outside should not be able to see any clues. Wu Yu has been preparing for this moment for a long time, and he has considered many details. The two souls you split are both at the 8th level of the soul realm. In fact, if you are powerful, you may be able to split several more times, but unfortunately there is no other body Minglong side. Wu Yu definitely does not want to endure that kind of pain for the second time, and two bodies are enough. In the Sumuru bag, his little soul finally saw the egg. Today is not in good condition, 1 chapter, 3 chapters tomorrow. In addition, not counting the adjustments today and tomorrow, the madman still owes you 4 chapters, remember, prepare to pay it back this week, work hard. In addition, the second soul, heaven swallowing record, has come to the key point. The fastest reading, please bookmark this site to read the latest novels. Heaven swallowing record. Author, Fengqing Yang. Chapter 760. The little soul saw the egg, and the two were attracted to each other. Just after leaving Wu Yu's body, that was when he needed it the most. The reborn body of the heaven-devouring demon ancestor appears here. This is a completely ownerless body. Minglong had already determined that Wu Yu's little soul could occupy this body and possess the ability of the heaven-devouring demon ancestor. So Wu Yu was excited when he saw this egg. This kind of excitement is like a hungry wolf seeing food. And he is a hungry wolf who has been hungry for a long time. In the eyes of the little Yuan Shen, there is nothing else in this Sumuru bag except the egg. Of course, Xiao Yuanshen's excitement was also Wu Yu's excitement. This is a pure and ownerless body. Wu Yu could completely invade him and turn him into his own body. Without further ado, Wu Yu arrived at the egg immediately. I've finally waited for this moment. His little soul took a deep breath, and then rushed into the egg without hesitation. In fact, the soul is himself. In the ocean of life, Wu Yu was equivalent to changing from one person to two people. One physical boat could not accommodate two people. At this time, another unmanned boat suitable for him appeared, and the two of them can completely occupy this ship. Because this ship has never had an owner, it is blank, and Wu Yu can just become his new owner and transform it. Of course, this also requires some secret techniques from Minglong. If someone else uses the second soul method, it may not be successful. After all, this is the body of the heaven-devouring demon ancestor. It is what he needs most for his rebirth. When his little soul entered the egg, it seemed as if it had entered a warm liquid. Suddenly I felt like I was home. His soul quickly took over this physical body and gradually merged perfectly with it. It felt like returning to the mother's body and becoming a baby. But this should not be a human being, but all living things. Precisely because it is the body of all creatures, Wu Yu can successfully occupy it. Years of preparation by the heaven-devouring demon ancestor have made this new body extremely perfect and complete. All gods are born in heaven and earth. They are different from ascetics, humans, and demons. He does not have a process of growing from childhood to adulthood, and may have already emerged as a quite powerful individual. The bodies of all gods are full of mystery. She is not like a human being, with muscles, bones, flesh and blood, and her body is in a wonderful state, such as the green light that Wu Yu encountered in the sky-devouring demon mansion. It's just a ball of light itself. For example, the Xuanhuan river encountered in another world is even just a magical river without a physical body. In comparison, the body of the heaven-swallowing demon ancestor is already quite similar to that of a human and a demon. She has a physical form. But in essence, he is still the god of all things. Like other gods of all things, the heaven-swallowing demon ancestor does not have the Yuan power of the purple mansion, let alone the Yuan Shen. The most amazing thing about all gods is that his soul and body are one, and even all his powers and everything are one. For example, green light, in fact, all abilities, life, etc. are integrated into a ball of light. The same goes for Xuanhuan River. The heaven-devouring demon ancestor should also have been suppressed for a long, long time. He has the ability to separate his soul from his original body and turn it into a residual soul. Then a new body was made. But this is not his best state, this is his means of rebirth. Wu Yu didn't know how he did it. However, he knew that if the heaven-devouring demon ancestor could get this egg, he would definitely integrate into it and return to the most primitive state of all gods. That is his strongest state. So when Wu Yu takes over this body, the next biggest change is that his soul is completely integrated into this body. His soul and everything, including the memories of the past. The methods of using Taoist magical powers are all integrated with this new body to form something quite pure. It's like a green light. It can even be said that his soul has been transformed into a special state. However, during this process, Wu Yu clearly felt that his self-awareness still existed, and it would become clearer, so the foundation of his soul still existed. This is the perfect fusion of spirit, body, and everything. This is the God of all things in his imagination. For a person, it is so wonderful and shocking to have a body that is like a God of all things. It is a completely different life form. When Wu Yu felt the existence of his second soul's body, there is a feeling of tears filling my eyes. It seems like this way of life. Born directly from heaven and earth. Compared with the reproduction of humans or beasts, it is closer to the great road in his mind. Now, he felt like he was a ball of chaos, hidden in an eggshell. His body is not willful, but can change at will, like a mist. He can twist his body at will, making it bigger or smaller, giving him a feeling of gradual maturity. At this time, he felt that he should have completely succeeded. Next. That is to control the new body and break out of the shell. What's the matter? What's the matter? Are you done? Come on, I'm so anxious. Minglong jumped up and down anxiously. For him, this was an unprecedented attempt. You will know it soon. Wu Yu had no time to pay attention to her when he was experiencing the body of the God of all things. This chapter is not finished yet, please click on the next page to continue reading the exciting content. He is now a ball of chaos, twisting his body in the eggshell, getting familiar with and controlling his new body. This body controls the original body differently, so he was a little unfamiliar at first. The human body has hands and feet, eyes and mouth, etc., but the body of the God of all things does not have these things. Even if there are, they are illusions. For example, the devouring demon ancestor can also transform into a human form, but that is not his root. Wu Yu now realizes that the real root of the devouring demon ancestor is a ball of mist. A ball of primitive mist. However, this mist has the possibility of endless changes. Speaking of changes, Maybe the devouring demon ancestor has more changes than the 72 changes. Wu Yu is completely immersed in this mysterious change. He is extremely excited, as if he has another new life. Of course, from today on, he has two lives. Even if the main body died, his body of the devouring heaven demon ancestor could continue to survive. In fact, devouring heaven demon ancestor is what others call this kind of spirit of all things. Wu Yu wanted to give it a name for himself. First of all, he felt that this spirit of all things with the instinct of devouring and the ability to digest and improve was like a dormant giant beast, hiding in the corner of the world, staring at it. Then why not call it the devouring heaven beast? Then his body? He should be called the devouring heaven body. If it breaks out of the shell, it is equivalent to a new life. Now, while Wu Yu is controlling his new body, he is also trying to see if he can break through the eggshell around him. In fact, for him, the egg is a closed world, the place where he was born. He is not in a hurry. Now he is immersed in the wonderful experience of controlling his new body, and he is so excited that he can't extricate himself. At this time, Wu Yu's main body and great Yuan Shen entered a stable state, and truly reached the Yuan Shen transformation realm. His great Yuan Shen still has a solidity equivalent to the 8th level of the Yuan Shen realm of others. Compared with others, even if he doesn't count the second soul, his soul realm is more perfect. With such a soul, he easily expelled the magical power left in his body by Prince Yuyan, the dragon head of Tianlong Zhenhun. In this way, Wu Yu, who was seen by 800,000 people outside through the Yuaning Ii, has recovered from his injury. Of course, they don't know that Wu Yu has entered the soul realm, let alone that Wu Yu has a second body in the Sumi bag. After reaching the soul realm, Wu Yu's magical power of the lawless clone can be upgraded to a new realm. The infinite beasts in the upper spirit weapon and the one long stick will also come out to accept his challenge, and he can also challenge the stronger puppets in the floating life tower to make himself stronger in all aspects. But for Wu Yu, what he is looking forward to is still his second soul body, the swallowing body. So his original body began to wander in the sea of Yinhun. In fact, all his attention was on the second soul. When the second soul body, the swallowing body, is completely born, it is estimated that he will be relieved and study other means. He feels. It doesn't take long to break out of the shell, it will be done soon. And he can clearly feel that his two bodies are not in conflict. Two bodies, one mind. Commanding them is like commanding his left and right hands. Wu Yu has controlled thousands of clones, and it is easy to control another one. It should be okay. After Wu Yu got familiar with his new body in the eggshell, he had a certain confidence that he could break through the eggshell. Now that the eggshell is closed, his existence will not impact the Sumuru bag. After breaking out of the shell, he must leave the Sumuru bag immediately, otherwise the NA word array diagram of the Sumuru bag will explode because it can't bear the life, and the movement will be loud, so Wu Yu must seize the opportunity. At this time, his new body is ready. His new body can change at will. The easiest one to change is the appearance of Wu Yu's original body. This is a very stable state, almost the same as the original state of a cloud of mist. However, the appearance may be slightly different from Wu Yu. At this time, Wu Yu has changed into his own appearance in the eggshell. Then, stretch out your fists and legs and hit the eggshell.